Week 3 of the NFL season upon us as we get you set for Bears and Browns. Welcome into Bears All Access. It's brought to you by IGS Energy with Tom Thayer. Jeff Joniak will have the call of the game on News Radio 105.9 WBBM, starting with a 9 a.m. pregame and a noon kickoff from what Tom is calling the black hole of the Midwest. First Energy Stadium, Bears and Browns. It is a significant matchup and one the entire league will be watching, not just because the Browns and many experts feel they could potentially be a Super Bowl contender, but the Bears are starting Ohio State rookie Justin Fields at quarterback. That automatically brings up the attention. Indeed, all rookie quarterbacks getting that kind of attention in the league, but this is the 11th pick in the draft, Tom, so it's understandable.
Right. Cleveland's kind of familiar with it because they just went through it with Baker Mayfield, and these are two of the most loyal fan bases in all the NFL. So regardless if this stadium is packed with Bears fans, they're still going to be watching all over the country. They want to see what Justin Fields and the future is going to be like with the Chicago Bears. And, Baker Mayfield's going to be over there saying, wow, I just kind of went through this myself as a young man. I know what Justin's going through. So he's not in any way, shape, or form pulling for him. But, kind of secretly behind the scenes, all quarterbacks, I think, have a tendency to pull for a young and up-and-coming guy like Justin.
Baker in his fourth year, the number one overall pick in 2018 out of Oklahoma. Coming up on the program, we'll hear a snippet or two from David Montgomery, the Bears running back. We'll hear from the analyst for the Cleveland Browns, Doug Dieken, our good friend, the former offensive lineman and tight end at the University of Illinois. And we'll be joined by Kindle Vildor, the young cornerback, getting a start again Week 3 as he plays opposite of Jalen Johnson. It's all coming up just ahead. We want to thank our producers, Jordan Tredup, Dan Barilli, and the folks at The Score. All right, so let's listen in. Justin Fields, years ago, he had a hard time believing that this might be possible.
I mean, it means a lot. Of course, if you told me, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that I'd be in this position, I probably wouldn't believe you, but, I think as time went along, I just got more comfortable and I guess my goals got bigger and bigger. But of course I'm here. So of course around this time last year, of course had an idea that, I could be in this position right now. So actually seeing myself in this position and being able to get the start on Sunday is amazing.
Well, it is amazing for a young guy, Tommy, to dream about these things and have them actually happen, because you really don't ever know. Despite what your talent is, there are many circumstances involved. So now he's on the grand stage in Cleveland, tough place to play. The logical process of thinking through this, and you played it, I didn't, but I know I would just not be able, the nerves would be popping. So this guy's calm, he's poised, but in this instance, do you think there'll be nervousness for Justin Fields? It seems rather natural.
It's undeniable. There's nervousness that if you are lucky enough to play double-digit years, you have a feeling inside your stomach that's unlike any other. But go back to the beginning of time when football is your chosen sport. You kind of develop the desire unlike any other, because it's not going to be a pain-free scenario for the rest of your life. It's going to be emotional pain. It's going to be physical pain. It's going to be the competition pain, but it all pays off in the long run. And this is what's paying off for the young man, is an opportunity to start in the NFL.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say instead of all the pain, the elation, when you actually win and survive the day and win the day, which is a common theme in NFL language, in all sports for that matter. So Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, addressed this very topic this past week up at Hallis Hall, and the calmness of Justin Fields and how it's a byplay for this one.
There's nothing wrong with being excited and and showing positive emotion with your team, but no one wants to see knees shaking. That would be more. So it's one of those things where when it's not a problem, you're good and you can move forward. When it's a problem, it's a problem, and it hasn't been a problem with Justin. I mean, he's handled good and bad, and I'm not on the sideline with him, so I can't see the face, but you certainly can see his body language and the energy he brings, and I think it's only going to get better. It's hard to go up and down. It's a long season. A lot of things can happen in the games. As you know, NFL games tend to be so close, right? Even in that game, it felt like we had that growing momentum, and we all wish we'd pulled away. The next thing you know, it's starting to become a close game again, right? I mean, that's just how NFL games go. So guys who are way up and down emotionally, they can tip over the edge sometimes and make some bigger errors. I think guys like Justin, who so far have shown to be kind of flatliners and control their emotions and steady, I think in the long haul are going to be more successful.
Right, and that is the case. That seems to be the history in the National Football League. So when you put all that on paper, yes, that's one thing, but you put it on the field against Cleveland, facing that defense, because what they're doing well right now, and it's a star-studded lineup, they just haven't, chemistry's not there yet. They are stopping the run, Tom, but they're giving up 60% on third down, and everything hasn't blended yet. What's he looking at?
Right. But, Justin's looking at is the understanding of his game plan. Obviously, the bodies are going to be mixed and matched and be put in different positions in terms of the Cleveland Browns defense. If Justin Fields knows where his players are going to be, that can speed up his process, the use of his athleticism, his intelligence, his accuracies. And that's what he's building on here in his career. When you look at the great quarterbacks, whether you want to talk about Brady, you want to talk about Rodgers, it's more or where their pieces are in place, not necessarily where the defenders are. So that's going to be the development of Justin Fields from game 1 to hopefully he starts game 100.
The things he has in his hip pocket and that Matt Nagy has in his hip pocket is the belief in the running game, the belief in David Montgomery, the belief in Williams, and the belief, if you want to use him, in Herbert, and the belief that there are tight ends that can help out a quarterback, which he says they got to get more involved. So it would be surprising to think that they wouldn't try to use Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, and the rest of the guys.
Jeff, we're going in to play a team that has the blueprint of what the Bears want to do. They have 2 great running backs. They have a young developing quarterback. They threw to the tight end position. They had 11 catches for 100 and something yards. Jeff, that is the blueprint. That's what the Bears need to do. In order to get the best immediately out of Justin, it's going to be using the phases of strength that the Bears have.
All right, coming up next, we'll be joined by Bears cornerback Kindle Vildor. With Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. This is Bears All Access, brought to you by IGS Energy on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Welcome back to Bears All Access here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. It's brought to you by IGS Energy. Choose clean energy for your home at IGS.com because every good choice adds up to a better world. With Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Pleased to be joined by Bears starting cornerback Kindle Vildor. Good to talk to you, Kindle, as we continue to do the Zoom thing during this pandemic. I know you've been on this show when you were drafted, but a whole lot's changed in a couple of years for you. How has this been going for you, knowing that you are a starter week 1 in the National Football League as a former 5th-round draft choice?
Man, it's been going real good, man. It's a blessing just to be in this position that I am, to be a starter in the National Football League, only my 2nd year being in it. So it just shows that the work I've been putting in is paying off. Coaches and stuff, they taking notice as well and stuff like that. And it's something that I don't take for granted. And it's something that I continue to work on each and every single day just to prove myself that I still belong.
We're going to get into the Cleveland Browns throughout our segments here with you, but going back a bit here from College Park, Georgia, I realized something. There's 4 quarterbacks starting this weekend in the NFL from Georgia, and one of them is Justin Fields. You guys grew up 35 miles away, I think a 45-minute ride, you in College Park, Georgia, and he was in Kennesaw, Georgia. Did you know about him? Did you cross paths before he ever became an NFL player?
Yeah, I definitely knew about him growing up, in the Georgia area with somebody that's a high recruit like him. You're definitely going to hear his name a lot and everything like that. And we actually have a lot of mutual friends together as well, too. We both played on Cam Newton. He has a 707 team in Atlanta. So we both played on that team. So I knew him from there. A lot of mutual friends. I seen him at a couple of workouts I was at and everything like that. So now that he's on my team and everything, it's crazy how time works and how everything just falls into place. I remember he was drafted. My phone was blowing up like I got drafted too. So it was crazy, man. So I'm happy for him.
Hey, you were MVP of that camp.
Yep, when they had 1 year, I definitely defensive MVP. I remember that.
Kindle, I believe that cornerback is the most difficult position to play in the NFL. So now you're going to Georgia Southern, you're winning awards your junior year, your senior year. When did it click for you, or what clicked for you saying, okay, I can take my talent from Georgia Southern to the NFL?
I'll probably say toward my sophomore year in college, I didn't start early on, but the last 5 games, we had some coaching changes and stuff like that. I started making plays and everything like that. And I had a coach come up to me. He was just like, hey, you keep that up. You're going to be somewhere where you want to be. And then going into my junior year, had a great defensive back coach, Corey Peoples, taught me a lot of good things and everything like that. So my junior year was a big year for me and what helped me get to where I am right now.
All right, let's go back to last year's Minnesota game, because Jeff and I are sitting in the broadcast booth. The first thing we do is see Dalvin Cook running your way. We're going to test this young guy. And all of a sudden you come up, cornerbacks, they're expected to cover, but they're always challenged by their willingness to tackle. All of a sudden you come up and you tackle one of the most dynamic backs in the league. If you miss the tackle, he's gone. How rewarding was it? Because even Dalvin gave you reflection of respect after that play.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. That was literally my first play of that game, first time coming in that game. So, it was a 3rd and long situation. I was just thinking, if it come my way, just make the play. So I made the play. He even told me, I thought he was getting up trying to talk a little smack or something like that. He was just like, nah, good play and everything. So, tackling, that's a big part of what our cornerback coach teach. If you're not going to tackle, you're not going to be out there. So making those plays and everything, that's big in what we do and what we pride ourselves on.
Yeah, with that said, Deshae Thompson has a lot in his background. Obviously, the respect you guys must have for him because he did it. He played at a high level with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've always been told by coaches and analysts that if you want a tough defense, you could have the best pass rushers, you could have a nasty bunch of guys up front, but if your secondary is willing to tackle and be physical, then you really know you got a tough defense. Would you say that's the case from your experience, and is that what Deshae is trying to pound into your guys' heads?
Oh, yeah. That's definitely what it takes. If you got your guys in the secondary, the quote-unquote supposed to be pretty boy that want to get down and dirty, like Akeem Hicks, then that's going to be a great defense right there. So, like I said, that's something that we pride ourselves on that we're going to continue to do.
Did you go back in the team meeting or the defensive meeting and see that hit by Akeem? He went all the way.
I literally seen it when it happened. Like, I'm like, oh my God! Like, he just crushed this man. Like, and then the way he got up, like a bear. Like people say they call him a bear. He growling and stuff like that. I'm like, man, Akeem is crazy, man. He's funny too, man. I love Akeem.
Now, when something like that happens, what does that do for the rest of you guys? Because it's almost like, and I know you played baseball, so a big hit, a clutch hit gets the dugout going, right? And a big hit by anybody on the defense, certainly the takeaway, you guys are partying in the end zone. But what does that do? Is it almost like the big hit in baseball, a grand slam that clears the bases and gets everybody rocking and rolling?
Yeah. And then I feel like in that point in the game, we were up pretty big and stuff like that too. So that's just basically putting an exclamation point, like just marking what we're doing, like we're not done yet. He's still delivering blows and everything like that. The 12th round, we still going at it. So that's what we want to do.
Kindle, you look at really, you've been through 3 systems in 3 years. When you go back to college, you go back to the Pagano system. Now you're in Sean Desai's system. Is there something that travels for a cornerback in every system you learn? Or is it like we talk about the quarterback or offensive line play where it takes a little bit of time to become 100% familiar with the system that you're running?
Yeah, I feel like it all plays a part in itself. In college, we actually ran a 3-4 defense with a 2 high safety look and everything like that. So it was real familiar for me coming in last year. And even this year, Sean Desai, he's running pretty much a little bit of kind of the same thing, just different terminology and stuff like that as well. So, and I feel like with defense, you can only do so much, you know what I mean? So everything will all fall into place and kind of be similar at the end of the day.
Kindle, when I came to the Bears, I was drafted in the 4th round. So you go to training camp and you sit there and you compete and you just wait for your opportunity. Your opportunity presented itself. You capitalized on it. But then in the off season, they make a decision to go in a different direction than Kyle Fuller. Did you absorb that or saying, okay, they're counting on me, or now I'm part of the competition for the starting position? How did you look at that?
Yeah, I felt like, I knew at the end of the day, it's all about competing no matter what the situation it is. Nothing's going to be given. So I knew whatever was going to happen, I was still going to have to come in here and compete and prove myself just like I did the year before and everything like that. So when I seen what was going on like that, I knew in the back of my head I'll have an opportunity to actually probably win the job and everything. So I just took that in the back of my head, just grinding each and every single day throughout the summer and the off season, and just ready for my opportunity when it came.
Kindle Vildor, our guest here on Bears All Access. It's brought to you by IGS Energy on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. So when you're in high school, you're at North Clayton High School in the Atlanta area, College Park, Georgia, as I alluded to earlier, and your rankings were 144th ranked safety in the country. Okay? Safety. Now, you're smiling because here's the deal. I'm not a math major, right? If you're 144th safety in the country coming out of high school, probably just over 5'9", hitting that 5'10", probably pretty light, all-county baseball player, all-county basketball player, but now you're one of 64 in the world that start at corner in the National Football League as we enter Week 3. I did the math. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, did you have a lot to overcome to get here then? That's really the point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, growing up in College Park, Georgia, I mean, it's a lot of distractions going on outside of sports and in the streets and the community and everything like that. But I was thankful to have a wonderful mother that raised me in the right direction and pushed me to stay focused and everything like that and led me in the right way. And just staying focused, like I said, working hard. I knew the stuff that I've been through growing up, what I wanted to do and what my end goal was. So I made sure I had that tunnel vision. I went out, did what I had to do, and get to where I am today.
So many athletes obviously deal with these situations. I just talked to Jalen Johnson about this. He grew up in Fresno, California, and he's got friends on both sides. Good sides, bad sides. Sometimes those intersect. Bad things happen. He lost a close friend back in August. So did you have any of those scenarios, and did you ever get tempted to go on that side?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends that I grew up, because I don't discriminate against nobody. I mean, if somebody want to do this and this and that, I mean, that's them. I won't judge them and everything like that. They're human just like me. So, I mean, a lot of my friends, I mean, they did different things and everything. But like I said, my mom, I knew if I did anything that they did, my mom was going to be on me, and I ain't want that. I mean, I feel like that played a big part in how I was and how I was raised, and what helped me get to where I am today.
All right, Kindle, we'll continue on our conversation with you in just a moment. First, a step away for a break here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. 1. This segment of Bears All Access is brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an appointment in clinic or virtually and start feeling better tomorrow. With Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak, Kindle Vildor, the Bears starting corner, getting ready for the Cleveland Browns. We'll break some of that down here in a moment as we take some time here with Kindle.
Kindle, talking a little bit about training camp, because you have a great deal of experience going against your own teammates and you kind of become familiar with them. Then all of a sudden they bring in the Miami Dolphins for some practices, and then you finish in a game with them. How valuable was that to you when you saw like Jalen Waddle and some of these other guys that we hear about from the outside, but now you're there and doing a lot of drills with them? How beneficial was that practice for you during training camp?
Oh, yeah, that was real beneficial for me. I mean, that was my first time actually going against somebody else other than my teammates and stuff since camp had started and everything. You always want to see where you at and everything, where you at with your skill set, going against somebody else that you're not familiar with and everything. So I feel like that really helped benefit me a lot.
All right, now so are we. We're probably more familiar with Odell Beckham just by what we see on TV in the pregame, that great catch that he made a couple of years ago. I don't know how familiar, if you've ever met him personally, but when you start thinking about preparing for a guy like Odell Beckham, I mean, what change? Does things change, or is it just kind of being aware of his footwork, what he likes to do, the analytics of how he fits into the offense?
Yeah, definitely, because like a player like Odell, I mean, he's been doing it for a long time now. He's one of the elite receivers in the game. So going into a game with someone like him, you have to be aware of where he's at on the field and everything like that, taking the extra time to going back, looking at the film from last year or the things that he liked to do, because I know he was out a lot last year and then this year. So just digging deep into that film to seeing what he actually does and what he's good at.
Dude, did you see the interception by the defensive back from Oklahoma this past weekend?
Oh, that was crazy. That was crazy.
Well, I told Jeff during the broadcast if he had a pair of those sticky gloves that he could have probably had a longer career at a defensive back. But that was an amazing catch.
Yeah, I mean, that was wild. That was wild. I could not believe it, man.
Hey, you know what? You made one like that. That's a highlight reel for perpetuity, right? That's
definitely. That's one for the ages.
Well, hey, you're still looking for number one. Jalen got his. Is this your turn now?
Yeah. Let's see if it's my turn, man. Hopefully it is, man. It's gonna happen soon, though.
You know what's crazy about him? He remembers all 6 that he dropped last year, or that he should have had, or he felt he could. I don't know if you play golf. I don't know if you golf at all. Kyle certainly was a great golfer, Kyle Fuller, but golfers remember remember every shot and what club they used and how they, is that what it is? Even though you guys are supposed to have short memories?
Yeah. I mean, his rookie year and everything like that, I know his head was kind of flying around and everything. I know he wanted those back, but I'm glad to see him making those plays now, and I know he's going to be making a lot more.
All right, so the August 5th Chicago Sun-Times here in town, the headline on the Bears story is Kindle Vildor's moment has arrived. Is it? Has your moment arrived?
I mean, I guess you could say, but I mean, I'm never satisfied. I mean, I know I'm a starter right now, but in this league, I mean, you can be a starter 1 minute and doing something else the next minute and everything. So like each and every single day, you got to prove yourself. You got to go out there, work hard every day, make plays and everything. So I'm still grinding like I'm a 5th round draft pick still.
Like the great Tony Medlin says, you only have 1 year to be young in the NFL. And so when that moment intersects with your career, it's about what you do after that. Yeah, if it only lasts a moment, then that's not what you want to do. You want to be able to capitalize on that moment and be in the position that you've earned throughout all of training camp. That's what's so rewarding about it. And you have great coaches in Deshae and Sean and everybody that these guys are here to help you develop you into the player that they see you can become.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I'm thankful to have both of those guys. I mean, I had Sean last year, actually in the room with him when he was coaching safety and things like that. So learned a lot from him. And I know they stay on me hard on the little thing because I know they want me to be great at the end of the day.
So the first 2 games of the year so far, the first pass of the game went over against Jalen Johnson. Eventually, that's going to flip a little bit, and they're going to be coming to your side. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you got to be prepared for. That's why you play, like I call it, the most difficult position in all the NFL. So it's got to be an exciting opportunity when it comes.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity. I know when those come, I got to make the most out of it, make those plays, and help this defense win games.
Kindle Vildor, our guest here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. A few more moments with the Bears starting cornerback. So your athletic numbers are off the charts. They ranked very high among all defensive backs when you came out of the combine. 4.4 40, 39.5 vertical, 11.1 broad jump, and long arms, which for a corner are outstanding for press and man. All those stats and everything, it doesn't matter if you can't play, right? So,
exactly. It's true.
Do you find that all of that math has translated to the field in terms of explosiveness and ability to play your position?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for me, I feel like when I'm out there, when you're watching the film, you can tell I'm quick twitch and everything like that. I can get in at my breaks and stuff like that. So I feel like how my numbers was at the combine and everything like that definitely translate on the field. And that's how I train and stuff as well during the off season and stuff that translate, and that's going to help benefit me.
All right, you call yourself a chill, laid-back guy. At least you did a long time ago. Not really into the spotlight, but you're on the biggest stage in sports now in the National Football League. Are you the same guy that said that a couple of years ago, or is that a maturation and evolvement that is an ongoing process for a guy like yourself?
I mean, I guess I'm pretty much still the same. I mean, I'm chill. Like around the building, I mean, I feel like everybody would probably be like, I'm kind of quiet. I mean, I kind of stay to myself. I talk to my teammates and everything like that for the most part, but I'm not a big rah guy and everything like that. I just put my head down, working. I'm more of a lead by example type.
If we were sitting in the stands watching the game with your mom, would we know by the reflection of her excitement that her son's on the field, or is she a low-key person?
Like my mom, she be turned up, like she be dancing and stuff like that. Like she do what she do, man. So yeah, she have a blast when she at the game. She came to a couple last year. She hasn't came to none yet this year because she back in Atlanta, and a lot of our games are like north and everything like that. So she's trying to find a way when she'll be able to fly in. Cause my sister has school and stuff on Monday, so they just trying to still work a little motion, trying to see when she'll be able to come.
Did you ever consider changing your number now that some of these high-profile defensive backs have, you see Eddie going to 4, you see Jalen out, Ramsey going to 5. But you wore 22 in college, didn't you?
20. I had 20 in college.
20. So did you ever think about bringing it down to single digit?
I mean, me personally, I don't really like the single digits like that. But I guess like growing up in the NFL, you never really seen it. So it hasn't like grown on me yet. quite yet, maybe in the long run, but right now, I kind of like the normal number for the positions.
I know what single number he'd want, though. That's for sure. Because the guy he idolized, yeah, come on now. Mike Vick.
7, that would be cool. That would be cool, man. That would be nice.
Wasn't that your guy?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Michael Vick, he's a legend growing up in the Atlanta area.
All right, so when you see yourself on tape and you're breaking it down, or even if you happen to pop on a highlight, ESPN or something, and there's Kindle Vildor making a tackle or making a big play, thinking about it as a 9-year-old when you first started playing at quarterback, scoring a touchdown in your first ever football game, I mean, do you ever think about it and say, wow, God, I did it. Like, I made it here.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, when you maybe turn on ESPN or something like that, and you see yourself out there, see your team, it's like, dang, like, I'm really in there. And then like some of my friends that might ask me, like, how I feel, but it's like it feels normal. Like, it feel like I'm in college again, because I'm pretty much doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Going to meetings, lifting weights, playing football. But to the outside, it's like, well, you really in the NFL right now. So crazy though. It hits sometimes, but feel kind of normal though for the most part.
Bottom line on Sunday in Cleveland, you got to tackle. They're going to run the ball.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, 2 really good backs and everything like that. Even the receivers, tight end, great tight end room. So, Coach told us it's going to be one of those 12-round fights. Got to come prepared, be ready.
All right, Kindle, we got a 5-pack of fun questions for you. Ready? Got to dig into your past a little bit. Try to answer them quick. We'll get you out of here. Just fun stuff.
Fun stuff?
Yep.
I say number 1, when I'm not doing anything football, like to play the game, 2K. When you're on there going crazy. So that's like one of my favorite things, man, just playing 2K in the park.
First job you ever had?
I never had a job. Like I never had a job. I did a few things like cutting grass a little bit in the neighborhood and holding up a sign one time, but not like a real 9 to 5, like just going to work. I never had a job.
You and Cole Komet, he told us the same thing. Hidden talent we don't know about.
I got 2. I can play the cello. I played the cello from 6th grade.
Really?
All the way to 10th grade. I stopped because I was just like, I wasn't tired of it. I was just like, I don't feel like doing it no more. But I actually still like the music and stuff like that. So I feel like I want to get back into it, like during the off season, like just playing it for fun. You know what I mean? It can be like a stress reliever or anything, but it's real cool. And I can swim. I can do the butterfly. I was on the swim team in middle school, 7th and 8th grade.
Wow, the things you learn on this show. All right, last one. Something you collect. Do you have anything you collect?
Not really. I actually kind of start collecting like little toy cars because I'm kind of like into cars like Dodges, like Hellcats, and different stuff like that. So I actually ordered 2, like a Challenger Hellcat and a Charger Hellcat toy car, not about a month or 2 ago. So those are pretty cool to have.
Sounds good. Appreciate and getting to know you, Kindle Vildor. Good luck the rest of the season. Good luck Sunday, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Bears starting cornerback Kindle Vildor joining the program. Tom and I come back, and we'll be joined by Doug Dieken, the longtime radio analyst and former Cleveland Brown. We'll break down the game in detail. It's all coming up next here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. This segment of Bears All Access is brought to you by CDW, People to Get It, with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak, as we bring you a view from the Browns and our good friend Doug Dieken, the former U of I tight end, a 6th-round pick back in 1971, just grew up 90 miles southwest of Chicago in Streeter. So we've talked to him many times, and a beloved figure in Cleveland, spending better than 50 years with the organization, both as player and announcer. Good to talk to you, Doug. How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling okay. It's great to be with you guys. And actually, I was a 6th-round draft pick of the Browns because the Bears traded for Epi Barney and gave the Browns a 6th-round draft pick. And that's who I was, that 6th-round draft pick.
Well, you know, your stories are unbelievable because, and I get pieces every now and again, and I wrote this down back in the preseason. I said, Tom, when we talked to Doug this year, I got to ask him about this because when you were a tight end, they didn't throw much. But the Browns, you know, they told you, hey, we're going to move you to tackle. And you were pretty surprised at that. But then you were on the right side, and they threw you at left tackle, where you became, which is an unbelievable statistic and a fact, you were only the 3rd left tackle at that time in Cleveland Browns history.
Yeah, I mean, Lou Groza and Dick Shafrath, who unfortunately recently passed away, were ahead of me. But I was, very fortunate. Actually, the reason I started at right tackle was because the right tackle got hurt. And so my first game as a offensive lineman in the pros was against Claude Humphrey. So then I decided I'd go to the other side. It might be a little safer.
But, the interesting thing about that, though, and they never coached you out of this, and Howard Mudd, famous offensive line coach, you're playing left side, but you had your right hand in the dirt and your right leg back, which seems very odd for me to see and to think about, but they never changed you. Did you ever ask why, and how did that serve you well? Was it a change-up that even the defender couldn't figure out a little bit?
No, actually, I asked Howard Mudd, one year, I said, "Hey, Howard, how come you never tried to change me?" He said, "Heck, I figured you've been doing it so long, why change you?" But, I think, the other part of it is we did a lot out of the 2-point stance. So, that kind of set things equal. And, I think, playing offensive line, it's basically about your footwork. And if you can get your feet moving and get your in front of the other guy and just walk them back to the quarterback, you've done your job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's about the athlete that's playing the position, not necessarily the way you're standing still. This is probably the most positive vibe about the Cleveland Browns that I really believed in the last bunch of years. This is the question. Who's more in charge, Baker Mayfield, or is it going to be the personality of Odell Beckham when he comes back? Because I think that's kind of a slippery slope to make the Cleveland Browns a division contender into a dysfunctional organization.
Well, I think the fact that they went to the playoffs and beat Pittsburgh in the first round last year without Baker or without Odell kind of sets it up that, when Odell comes back, hey, I'm not the only thing. The only problem is now you've lost Jarvis for 3 games. So that makes it a little bit tougher.
So, all right. What about, when you look at this team, Doug, and you look at, what the coach has been able to do, but is it a running team, or does he still have the desire for this to be a passing team if you had all the receivers healthy?
I think it's, it depends on who you're playing. I mean, what he thinks is the weakness and which way he can attack you. He's got 2 great running backs. Nick Chubb is a stud. Obviously, Kareem Hunt is a guy that led the league in rushing about 4 or 5 years ago. Then, he's heavy in tight ends. He likes to carry 3 or 4 tight ends on the roster. And then you got, Jarvis when he's healthy, but unfortunately he's not, like I said, not going to be there. But, you got Odell. You don't know what when he's going to come back for sure. But, I think right now they're probably going to end up leaning on that running game until they get Jarvis back.
Doug Dieken, our guest here on Bears All Access with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak. So the news comes out this week. Justin Fields, the Ohio State product and the rookie, will get the start. Andy Dalton not ready to go because of that knee. How do you look at that as an analyst as you face the Bears from a Browns perspective?
Well, I think as a rookie quarterback, you want to show him some looks that he's not seen, and hopefully, try to keep him in the pocket. I think last week when I saw him go in and play, he kind of worked outside the numbers. But like all rookie quarterbacks, and especially guys that can run like he can. I mean, he was 22-2 in college. I mean, he knows how to win, and. You got somebody that has worked with Mahomes. You have people that can utilize that ability to run. And even Tyrod Taylor last week gave us, fits until he got hurt.
Doug, I think any young quarterback that goes into start in a hostile environment for the first time is really challenging with the lack of communication between the quarterback and the offensive line. When you look at this team and you look at the speed of Clowney and Garrett, the power and everything they have on the outside, is this a team that needs to blitz to provide pressure on the quarterback, or can they provide pressure without bringing in the linebackers and allow those guys to clog the throwing lanes?
Well, they didn't get a lot of pressure last week on the Texans. And I think right now one of the problems is the defensive backs are playing off and playing a softer coverage. So that kind of makes it a little bit tougher. And I think, one of the things they've got to do, because we have 9 guys that are starters on the defense that weren't here before. So all of a sudden, or didn't start last year. So we're trying to get some chemistry. And the defensive side of the ball right now is a little bit out of sync.
Is the chemistry that you talk about, because, I watched the first play of the Houston game, and you got the safety that's completely fooled, and then they throw the ball over the top of them and they complete it for a long pass. So is the communication in the defensive backfield, is that something that they got to be brought up to speed to help the front, or are they making up for, a level playing field up front?
Well, part of it was, Anthony Walker, who, was supposed to be the middle linebacker. He got hurt. He's on the IR for 3 weeks. So there's just a lot of inexperience of new guys that have not played together. Obviously, Newsome, our first-round draft pick, cornerback, he's new, but he's a smart guy. He's figured it out. Denzel Ward, he played a lot of off coverage last week, and he kind of got. They went after him. Then the safeties. There's talk that they might play 3 safeties, so we'll have to wait and see. They've got a lot of different pieces, but they haven't figured out exactly how to use them because you got Asawood Kamara from your
Notre Dame
fighting Irish. This kid's got unbelievable skill set, but I don't know if they really know they want to use him.
Gosh, Doug, he looks small to me. I see that linebacker in there, and I had to look up the number a couple times because he wears a defensive back number, and he kind of looks like a defensive back when he stands there at middle linebacker.
Well, they got him on the weak side, and he runs like a defensive back, though. I mean, he has got explosive speed, and he's one of those guys. He could be a honey badger type player where you can move him around and try to mess with the offense. But they're just trying to find where his skill set sets in.
Our final moments with Doug Dieken. Back to Baker. What impact has Kevin Stefanski had on him? It certainly seemed to take root in the second half of last season in his touchdown-interception ratio and just his overall moxie. What would be the biggest impact of Stefanski on him?
Well, I think the fact that this is the first time he's had the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row. And I think, Kevin, when we had Freddie Kitchens, Freddie just wanted to beat the crap out of the other team, and that just didn't work. So I think what he has done is he's given the offense some stability in the thought process, and they're much more disciplined. The penalties are down. The turnovers, we had one last week, but that's because the wide receiver gave it gator arms. But, overall, Baker has just really grown into the role. And, Baker, he's not that great athletic guy that can run, like Lamar. He's got a good arm, but he's a guy that he's a better leader than anything.
All right, I can't leave this conversation without asking both of your opinions on your own offensive line. So the Cleveland Browns are considered to have one of the best offensive lines in football. Doug, what do you think? And Tom, what do you think?
Well, I think, the Browns do. I think, obviously, unfortunately, Jedrick Wills got hurt in the opener, and he played about half the game last week. But when he's healthy, I think it is, and they've got some depth there, so that helps out. And the other part of it is you've got a running back like Nick Chubb. He can make you look real good.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of a nice compliment in the conversation because you got an offensive line. To me, it looks like they play with desire. And then you got 2 good running backs that will challenge second-level tacklers. If you give those guys a crease, they're coming at you, and you better meet them head-to-head or some type of legal tackling position, or else they're going to gain another 3 or 4.
Well, and the other part is they have a pretty good offensive line coach in Bill Callahan. I mean, he is one of the tops that you're going to find. And, that helps because he puts them in a position to win. And the way he coaches them hard.
Another Chicago area guy from Oak Lawn, Bill Callahan. So, all right, that's going to wrap us up. Appreciate all the time, Doug. Sparks will fly because the Bears have a pretty good defensive front. Going up against that offensive line should be a fun time. We'll see you in Cleveland. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
That's Doug Dieken. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Back with our final segment after this on Chicago Sports Radio, 670 The Score. Welcome back to Bears All Access, brought to you by IGS Energy. And come watch the Bears game at Fire Bar and Grill in Crystal Lake this Sunday at this week's official Miller Lite Chicago Bears watch party. Visit chicagobears.com/fanzone/watch parties for more information. With Tommy, we're looking at the Bears and Browns in our final segment here. Let's quickly look at what might happen with the Browns offensive line because there's uncertainty at left tackle. That line has played together as much as any in football. Maybe Tampa's has been together, but in terms of continuity, it's an interesting bunch. Now, their backup, Hubbard, is also banged up. So it might be Blake Hance out of Northwestern. Or it could be a rookie if they don't go that route with the University of Cincinnati draft pick that they had this draft, James Hudson. So whatever the case may be, that's the one interesting angle. Do you try and emphasize your rush and make them think at that spot, at the left tackle spot, or will they just move Baker around and create his own escape routes?
Cleveland Brown is not going to deviate from what this has got them to this point, the building blocks of their offense. So you have an interchangeable offensive line. You're not going to change your game plan. Maybe if you were change a quarterback or another position that's more high profile, yes, but they'll do exactly the same, which got them to this point of success.
They do not have Jarvis Landry. He goes on injured reserve, and I think that's a big story here. Yes, Odell Beckham, more than likely, is coming back. There could be some rust on the wheels. He's a game breaker. He's explosive, yes, but Jarvis Landry's the heartbeat. He's the guy for Baker Mayfield. When he's in trouble, he looks for Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry is a great player. He's a really good wide receiver that's willing to do anything. Now you look at Odell Beckham, he can create controversy. If he's not getting targeted enough, even though this is his return, then all of a sudden he creates a dynamic on the sideline that's uncomfortable. To me, Cleveland's 2 to 12. 2 yards to 12 yards. That means they're going running game to tight end, and I don't care who is supplementing Jarvis Landry. I still believe the way that they're going to move down the field is with consistency with the two-headed running backs and the three tight ends they can put out there.
All right, right now defensively, the Browns, as I said earlier, are still kind of a chemistry project with a lot of talent, as much talent as you're going to find in the National Football League on this roster. They are doing well against the run, Tom, really in all facets. Among the league leaders in stopping the run through 2 games. First down rushing defense are 8th in the league at 3.42 yards a carry. They've only allowed 1 10-yard or more carry, and that's the task at hand for the Bears offense. And David Montgomery, we'll hear from him on Bears Game Day Live Sunday morning at 10:30 on Fox 32 Chicago. Here's some of my interview with the Bears running back. You are who you are because you're putting in the work. I've never seen drills like this before. I mean, do you need to do this every year just to fine-tune who you are?
Of course. Just for the position that I play, you got to be able to think fast, react fast, and do things at a high-intensity quickness. So those are those kind of drills that you can simulate while you're working out that can help you, like as far as foot fire, your reaction time, and just being able to improve, the God-given abilities that God has already given me already.
Is it translated to Sundays for you?
I would say so. I would think so.
You have a great relationship with your head coach, like you did Matt Campbell at Iowa State, and Matt Nagy and I have talked about it. It's a very close bond between the two of you. Why is that so important to you? And what's it done for you as a football player and as a man to have that kind of tight relationship with Coach Nagy?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives you an option to have perspectives. Me being in a position that I am, being able to play and be playing in the actual time and being in the actual game, and from him coaching it and trying to get his point across as far as how he wants things to go, and him asking me like what kind of run plays I want, or just being able to have that translucent relationship to where like we can talk about stuff like that is pretty needed to have a great relationship with somebody. So I've always had a relationship with my coaches in the past, with Coach Louis Ianni, Nathan Shieldhouse, Coach Matt Campbell, of course, Coach R.V. Crouch, and Nick Yorty. They've always been guys and that always helped me elevate myself as a player, but as well as a man, because they were able to put like ball aside and ask me, and try to carve me and help me be who I can be character-wise and as a man as well.
You're quickly becoming a face of the franchise, whether you realize it or not. And I think that's a natural transition for you. You don't ask for it. You're all about it, though. You're a leader. Are you comfortable with that?
Whatever, opportunity presents itself, I'm comfortable with. God wouldn't give me the tools to handle as much as I can handle if I couldn't handle them. So
whatever it may be, whatever role it is, I'm willing to, hit it head first, full steam ahead, and being able to, tackle whatever task is at hand.
When I listen to David Montgomery, Jeff, I want to say this because I don't want it to be too big of a moment because he reminds me a lot of Walter Payton. He's an all-three down back. The team that is getting ready to play against David Montgomery talk about him because he's such a physical football player. He's self-motivated. He doesn't need outside encouragement to display the greatness that he's been blessed with. And you don't put that type of praise on too many guys in the backfield in Chicago. But David Montgomery has a lot of similarities to Walter Payton.
That is some high praise, and he won't shy away from that either. He doesn't.
He shouldn't, because I tell you what, he's earned it. It's not just something that's that's just given to him because he's been around here for a month. It's what he's put on display since the years he's been here and the way he's shown how much it means to him.
All right, who needs to be blocked on that Browns defense?
The Malik brothers inside, Malik McDowell, Malik Jackson, that's where a majority of their size comes from. To me, I go at Jadeveon Clowney. I challenge the second level of their linebackers because they're good tacklers, but they're undersized. You get the big bodies on them, like Cody Whitehair, like James Daniels, I think you can push them around and create those running lanes for Dave Montgomery. So you attack their vulnerabilities that you evaluate each week. But the Malik brothers, the two defensive tackles, they offer size and they offer defensive tackle discipline.
If you're Sean Desai, what are you drumming up to stop that offense?
Creativity on the defensive line. If you have some interruptions on the offensive line, you have players play out of position, I'm going to make them think and identify each and every time. They ran some creative stunts last week, and I just continue to build on that process.
All right, that's going to wrap up our show. It was a full one today. I want to thank our producers, Jordan Tredup, Dan Brilli, and the folks at The Score. Thanks to our guests today, Doug Dieken, Cleveland Browns radio analyst and former player, and Kindle Vildor. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thank you all for listening. This has been Bears All Access on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score.